I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
When Taken hit theaters in 2008, nobody expected a mid-budget European thriller to turn into one of the most quoted movies of the century. It was gritty, fast, emotional, and brutally simple. A father will do anything to save his daughter. But beneath that story lies a world of strange production stories, creative risks, and unbelievable behind-the-scenes facts. Here are 40 weird and fascinating things about the Taken movies. The series that redefined what it means to have a particular set of skills. Taken was never supposed to have sequels. The first Taken was written as a one-and-done European thriller, nothing more. There were no plans for Taken 2 or 3. Luc Besson wanted to tell a single, self-contained story about revenge and redemption. But after the film's surprise success, the studio demanded sequels, forcing the writers to stretch a simple premise into a trilogy. Liam Neeson thought it would go straight to DVD. When Neeson took the role, he believed Taken would be a small, direct-to-video release, something that might quietly find a niche audience overseas. Instead, it made over $226 million worldwide and became one of the most successful action films of the decade. The iconic "I will find you" speech was added late. The now legendary monologue wasn't in the original draft. Director Pierre Morel felt something was missing emotionally, so the speech was written and added during post-production. It instantly became one of the most quoted movie lines of the 21st century. Neeson almost rejected the role. Liam Neeson initially passed on the part, thinking he was too old and not known for action. It was his wife, Natasha Richardson, who convinced him to take it, saying it would be a fun change from his usual serious roles. Without her encouragement, the Taken we know might never have existed. Produced by Luc Besson. Luc Besson, the mind behind The Fifth Element and Léon, the Professional, produced Taken. His fingerprints are all over it. The sleek cinematography, the morally conflicted hero, and the European setting all scream Luc Besson movie. Inspired by real events. The story was based on real-world human trafficking cases that were emerging in Europe in the 2000s. Besson said he was moved by reports of young women being kidnapped and sold into prostitution rings, and he wanted to make a film that dramatized that horrifying reality. Brian Mills was based on a real person. Besson drew inspiration from a French military friend who had rescued hostages overseas. His calm, tactical personality became the template for Brian Mills, a man who acts with precision and quiet rage. The script was written in 30 days. Luc Besson and Robert Mark Kamen cranked out the entire Taken script in just 1 month. They focused on speed, rhythm, and emotional intensity, creating a movie that never stops moving. The budget was only $25 million. Despite looking like a high-end Hollywood blockbuster, Taken was made on a relatively tiny budget. It was shot mostly in Paris and surrounding suburbs using minimal special effects and fast-paced filming techniques. It created the old man revenge subgenre. After Taken, studios rushed to copy the formula, an aging man with combat skills seeking revenge. It paved the way for John Wick, The Equalizer, and even Nobody. Neeson's success made retired badasses a permanent Hollywood trend. To prepare for the role, Neeson trained in Krav Maga, the Israeli martial art known for its lethal efficiency. It gave his fight scenes a raw, authentic realism that stood out from the flashy choreography of other action movies at the time. Maggie Grace, who played Kim Mills, was 25 during filming, even though her character was supposed to be 17. The age gap between her and Neeson was only 14 years, which made for some interesting behind-the-scenes jokes. Fans counted. Across Taken's 91 minutes, Brian kills 31 people, roughly 1 every 3 minutes. His body count rivals many entire action franchises. The French Tourism Board criticized Taken for portraying Paris as a dangerous, corrupt city overrun with kidnappers and human traffickers. They claimed it could scare off tourists, though ironically it only made the movie's Paris locations more famous. Brian Mills's movements were modeled after real CIA close-quarters combat techniques. Neeson was taught to strike vital areas, throat, joints, groin, fast and decisively. Every move was meant to end a fight in seconds. Fans noticed Neeson's signature glare, squinting eyes and clenched jaw, in every promotional image. It spread online as the Taken face, symbolizing seriousness and over-the-top intensity. Because the story unfolds over 4 days, the working title was 96 hours. In France and some European countries, it was released under that name, and still is today. The phone used during the kidnapping call became unexpectedly famous. After the film's release, fans started buying the exact Nokia model, and even preloading it with the "I will find you" quote as a ringtone. In early drafts, Brian wasn't a sympathetic father. He was a retired assassin with a dark history. Test audiences found him too cold, so writers softened his backstory into that of a protective dad trying to redeem himself. The kidnapper's Albanian lines are gibberish. Native speakers quickly noticed that most of it was nonsense or mispronounced phrases, a common issue in Hollywood movies of that era. Neeson's career changed overnight. Before Taken, Neeson was a respected dramatic actor. After it, he became Hollywood's go-to older action hero. The movie completely reinvented his career, leading to roles in Unknown, Non-Stop, and The Gray. The trailer spoiled everything. The Taken trailer practically told the entire story, including the kidnapping, the chase, and even the rescue. Yet it didn't hurt the movie at all. In fact, the simplicity of the story made it more appealing. The particular set of skills speech mirrors real life. The speech actually reflects real training used by covert operatives, a mix of surveillance, counterterrorism, and close combat expertise. It sounds cinematic, but it's grounded in genuine tactics. Taken 2 was written in 10 days. After Taken's surprise success, Luc Besson demanded an immediate sequel. He and Robert Mark Kamen wrote Taken 2 in only 10 days, recycling much of the first film's structure. Taken 2 made $380 million despite terrible reviews. Critics panned it, giving it a 22% Rotten Tomatoes score. But the audience didn't care. It earned nearly $400 million globally, proving that revenge stories never get old. Taken 3 changed everything. Neeson refused to do another kidnapping story, so they flipped the concept, making Brian Mills a fugitive framed for his ex-wife's murder. It wasn't as well received, but it gave the series a proper conclusion. Neeson was paid $20 million for Taken 3. He made just $1 million for the first film. By the time Taken 3 rolled around, his paycheck had skyrocketed to $20 million, one of the biggest pay jumps in action movie history. Brian Mills' total body count, 73. Across all 3 films, Brian kills 73 people. Fans have charted every death in detailed spreadsheets, complete with methods, timestamps, and weapon types. Forrest Whitaker's detective was based on Sherlock Holmes. In Taken 3, Forrest Whitaker's character, Frank Dotzler, uses logical deduction and small clues, like food crumbs or phone angles, to track Brian. Whitaker said he intentionally modeled his detective on Sherlock Holmes. The fence jump scene has 14 cuts. There's a 6-second scene of Neeson climbing a fence that was edited 14 times. The choppy editing was done to make the action look fast-paced, but also to hide Neeson's age and slower movement. NBC's Taken TV series told a younger Brian Mills origin story. It had solid production values but was canceled after 2 seasons due to poor ratings and continuity issues. The prequel contradicts the films completely. Brian has a different family, different timeline, and different background. Fans considered it an alternate universe rather than a real prequel. When asked if he'd ever return for another sequel, Neeson laughed and said, "Sure, Taken 47, I lost my car keys." That quote went viral as a meme about never-ending franchises. Clips from Taken have been used in travel safety seminars to warn young women about abduction and trafficking dangers abroad. A fictional thriller accidentally became an educational tool. The phrase is now part of everyday language, quoted in job ads, memes, and comedy sketches. It's one of those rare lines that transcended its movie to become universal shorthand for confidence and competence. Liam once prank called a friend's son using the Taken line word for word. The kid panicked before Neeson broke character and started laughing. The story became a favorite in his interviews. After working so closely together, Neeson and Grace developed a real-life father-daughter bond. Years later, he even walked her down the aisle at her wedding, just like Brian Mills would have done. In Taken's Paris car chase, there's a billboard advertising Lilu Cosmetics, a sly nod to Luc Besson's The Fifth Element and its main character, Lilu, played by Milla Jovovich. At one point, producers floated the idea of a crossover between Taken and The Transporter. Both Liam Neeson and Jason Statham turned it down, not wanting to turn their serious characters into a gimmick. After more than a decade of revenge thrillers, Neeson officially retired from action roles, saying, "There's only so many bad guys a 70-year-old can chase." Taken became both his signature and his send-off, the film that turned a dramatic actor into a cinematic force of nature. From a small French thriller to a billion-dollar franchise, Taken turned one man's desperate mission into a global phenomenon. It showed that sometimes all it takes is love, rage, and a very particular set of skills. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, subscribe, and tell us which Taken fact surprised you most. Because remember, if you don't, we will find you, and we will thank you for watching.